When it comes to your body, your heart has the job of maintaining a core body temperature regardless of conditions. When it comes to your vehicle, your water pump has that same responsibility.
And a properly working water pump will make sure that your heating and your cooling system are working at peak efficiency.
That's right. Today's project is a 1999 Dodge Ram 1500 pickup with a big V8 in it. This guy does a little bit of towing, a little bit of work with this truck. It's got high mileage, definitely a candidate for a water pump replacement.
That's right, Brian. And while we're in there, we're going to also check the belts and the hoses and the antifreeze, the coolant, to make sure everything's up to snuff.
All easy to do. So let's jump in, Jim.
All right. Well, Brian, we've already drained the coolant out of the system, and we're starting to get this shroud loose. We've got the bolts out of my side. I think you've got yours out?
Yep, we're good over here.
All right. I'm going to disconnect my coolant recovery hose. How's your radiator hose look?
Well, this top radiator hose, we're checking it for cracking, chafing, any kind of swelling. It feels real good. We'll go ahead, and the clamp looks good as well. Work it loose, set it back out of our way. And you've got the shroud loose, so the next thing is we've got this fan clutch loosened already with just a big crescent wrench. We're going to go ahead and back this fan blade off. We're not going to let it fall. We're going to be real careful to not let it fall. Next step is bring the shroud up out. It was only 4 bolts, very easy to remove.
We can't underestimate the shroud. What it does is it focuses all the air that comes through the radiator so that it keeps the engine actually cooler. So we don't want to forget to put the shroud back in.
Definitely not.
Actually some cracks up underneath this serpentine belt. You know, this is a critical piece here, and it kind of ties all this rolling stuff together. Look how thin it is. I can move it quite a lot. Let's change it too.
So we've got the fan clutch removed, easy to do. Now the way a fan clutch works is there's a temperature sensitive kind of a coil spring right here that will engage the fan and help it keep the engine cool whenever it's under load and heat is generated.
And so when the fan is not needed, it freewheels, and that saves gas. All of these systems with a serpentine belt have some sort of a tensioner. All you have to do is get you the right size wrench and get the tension off of the belt, and then you can just remove it from the system.
So the next step is to go ahead and begin removing the bolts that hold the water pump onto the engine. It looks like there's 4 or 5 of them. They're 15 millimeter here. Pretty easy to get out, but we need to watch for antifreeze that's going to come out from behind the pump housing.
Well, we can take ours to the county recycling center, and they accept it there. So I would suggest that folks check with their county government and see where they're supposed to take their used antifreeze. The lower radiator hose looks pretty good, Brian. When I squeeze it, it doesn't stick and it's not swollen anywhere. I think it's in pretty good shape. As I remove the lower radiator hose from the water pump, I rock it back and forth and twist it to break the seal. And I have a drip pan underneath to catch any coolant that might remain in the system.
Good idea. I'll remove this top and final bolt from the water pump casing. It's almost ready to come off. I've already got the heater hose disconnected up here, and we're good to go. Pump's all yours, Jim.
All right.
And folks, what we need to look at now is the casing here. There's a lot of contamination, a lot of metal deposits, and you can see all the sludge that has built up inside this pump housing. You can see the metal deposits in there. We're going to clean all that off, and with the new pump, that's going to be in great shape.
I've got the 2 water pumps sitting here side by side, dirty, corroded one here, and the brand new one here on the left. Quite a difference, huh? One of the symptoms that you may find that where you need a water pump is dripping, that you would have coolant on your driveway. And maybe your heater doesn't work so good anymore in the cool weather. You can actually overheat because the impeller will wear out, and then you may need a new water pump for that reason. These ASC water pumps are great. They come with new O-rings so I can transfer the heater tube from one to the other, and a brand new gasket.
Folks, anytime you're replacing your water pump, take a few extra minutes and make sure you replace the thermostat. In this case, it's a 195-degree thermostat, heavy duty, for a heavy-duty pickup truck application. Now, it's kind of neat how a thermostat works. As we insert it into some hot water we've prepared here, you can see how the thermostat will open up just like it does inside your engine. When your hot antifreeze comes up against the backside of the thermostat, it opens up, allows it to circulate through your radiator, and keeps your engine and your cooling system operating at the normal temperatures.
Well, I've got the new thermostat in. Now I'm ready to install the water pump. So what I've done is put the gasket and the silicone sealer on the water pump. And I like to take a couple of the mounting bolts and put them in place as guide bolts. And now I have to reach down in here and connect up the upper heater hose. And I'm ready to install the rest of the bolts.
So we just reconnect the heater hose here on the top side, press it on, get a good clamp seating. Jim, we're good up on the top side of the pump.
All I have to do is get this lower hose on and get the clamp seated in place. Next step's serpentine belt, Brian. I'll go get the antifreeze.
Okay, Jim, this job is a lot easier than some people might think. Once you have the radiator shroud off and you've got access to everything, these pulleys, it's just a matter of following the diagram on the hood of the vehicle here, under the hood. Make sure your socket is in front of the belt on the tensioner pulley. Get it seated, a little bit of tension, and there's the serpentine belt.
All right, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and put the coolant in now. I'm going to go ahead and use the 50-50 mix. This is the best way to do it, I think, because it's already pre-mixed. We don't have to mix it like we used to have to in the old days. This isn't going to take very long to finish it all. All right, the system's all topped off, Brian.
Great. You can see I've got the new clutch assembly here on the fan clutch. Very easy to change. 4 bolts on the back side. This makes a big difference in making sure that this fan and this cooling system are operating properly. Next, the final step is to reassemble it. Put it right onto the front of the water pump stud. Spin your fan on. Get your biggest crescent wrench. We're in good shape. And the final step in today's project, replacing the radiator shroud.
There you go, Brian.
Thank you, Jim.